Hello, everyone. It's April 6th, 2020, and it's 6 p.m. We will call this City Council meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. McGinnis? Mr. Blankenship? Mr. Hukin?
Present.
Mr. Austin? Here. Ms. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Taylor?
Present.
Mr. Reinierson?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Just to make sure, can you read back who you had here?
Yes. I have Chris Reinierson, John Taylor, Lisa Jones, Ken Austin, Bob Hukin, Ann McGinnis.
Okay, so Danny's the only one missing right now. Okay,
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, what we're going to try to do is keep our meeting as close to normal as possible. So I may want to just ask you if you maybe mute your phone until you want to speak. That way we don't hear Ann talking to her dog. How's that, Ann? that was
I thought
good.
you were
Like
talking
that.
to Joe.
Yeah, that's even better. Yeah, that's better.
Dang it! All right, I'll mute it.
Anyway, we'll move on. We have Mr. Brian Reese here, who's been saying the prayer at our meeting. So I'm going to ask Brian to say the prayer, and also we do the pledge. So would you, Brian, please?
Yeah, let's pray. Our Father, we come to you tonight with many things on our hearts and minds, and we want to pray tonight for a few things. We want to lift up those in our community who are sick and infected with this virus. Father, I pray that you would heal and help them, sustain them. I pray that you be with our most vulnerable of our populations, be with those that are the elderly or those who are chronically ill. Pray that you'd protect them and watch over them during this time. Pray that you'd be with our local city government, state and federal government. Help them as they do all that they can to continue to do the great work of our cities and state and federal governments with these new challenges on our plates, and to keep the city moving and working during this time, and give them wisdom to lead and direct. I pray that you would be with those who are teachers, our parents, our students, who are just adjusting to a new normal of education. Just pray that you would give them help and help the education of our students to continue to be strong, and pray for that. And I pray, Lord, for our healthcare workers who are on the front lines battling this. Thank you for them. They're a special gift to us. I pray that you'd sustain them, strengthen them, help them, protect them from this virus. And God, I pray that you would just help them to be the hands and feet of you as they serve those who are sick in our community. Thank you for them. Be with our first responders. Be with our police and fire. Thank you for them. Thank you for our local leadership, all our department heads, and the great work they're doing during this time. Bless them for it. Give wisdom tonight for the decisions that need to be made. In your name we pray. Amen. Let's say the pledge. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Like I said, we want to keep it as close to as we normally run a meeting. So at this time, if there's anybody in the public that's on this call, and you can call in at the top of the agendas, there's a number there, 774-220-4000, and using a conference ID number of a 654-9041. You can call in, listen to the meetings, and under the public comment section, announcements, presentations, at this time would ask somebody, is there anybody out there that wants to have a public comment or something? Okay, I don't think I hear any, so we'll move on. And just so you guys know, of course, Brian's here. Les Tabling is here from the public, sitting about 20 feet away from all of us, doing the social distancing, so that's good. So that gets us to our consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as written.
I would second.
Mr. Austin. Okay, second, I believe, was by Ann.
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there any opposed? So I guess moving forward, whenever we say, over line, if we make a motion or do a second, why don't somebody just say their name before they make that motion or second? Okay, so that gets us to old business. And the reason that we left this on, we're not going to ask that we have the public hearing tonight of the common. Oh, I need a motion to read by title only.
Mayor, I move to read old business by title only.
Mr. Austin made the motion.
Sean Taylor, second.
Sean Taylor, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It's supposed to be a public hearing. Common Council Ordinance Number 20-02, an ordinance approving sewage works revenue bonds, Series 2020, to finance improvements to the sewage works system. Mr. Rick Hall with Rick Hall, Barnes, and Thornburg. I do know that Rick is on the call. I'm not sure if Jeff Peters is. Yes, Jeff's here also.
I am, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Lynn and I talked about this, and we thought, under the circumstances, this is the first time we're having a call-in public meeting, that we wanted to give an opportunity for anybody in the public that wanted to call the next time, which would be the next meeting's April 20th. We have every intent of bringing this forward, and hopefully we pass to move forward with the bonds. But we'll have a vote on this the next meeting if anybody in the public wants to chime in. If you remember, that's what we did. The sewer rate increase was to cover the bonds for the work that's going out on the east side. And just so you know that the work is still in the works. Sunbeam Development Corporation, Joanna gave a report at the Board of Works meeting that they're going to start moving dirt in the next couple of weeks. I do know that GDI has closed on the property, and they have every intent to still move forward with the 900,000 square foot building, and that's why we were moving to put in this interceptor project to make this go. So with that all being said, that's why we're asking for the bonds. And if you have any questions for Rick or Jeff, please feel free to ask them now. They're here, and that's why they joined us, in case there was any further questions. But I'm going to have Ms. Gray has something she wants to add to this. So, Ms. Gray first.
Yeah, for purposes of clarification, you'll recall this is not the capacity fee issue that we talked about. It's our intent to go forward with that in May with an introduction, and hopefully by the end of May, when we consider that, we'll be back to our open public meetings with everybody present. This is simply the ordinance. Rick, please correct me if I'm wrong. Technically, the ordinance does not require a public hearing, as we lawyers think of that in terms of advertising and having the public speak. But the mayor, even in these uncertain times, would like to have the public the opportunity to comment, and that's why we thought having it on the April agenda, folks will have an opportunity to listen to this conversation on our website. Folks will have an opportunity. There's a form that we've put on the website to allow someone to send questions to us if they wished, and it just felt a little more comfortable, if you will, from my perspective, that we've given every opportunity for the public to comment on this in these difficult times where they're not appearing in a public hearing. So that's the reason it's still here, for you to ask questions of them, but we'll hopefully take official action on April the 20th. Rick, did I accurately describe that, sir?
You do. There's no legal requirement for a public hearing, but the city is offering that opportunity to the public.
And is it my understanding, too, from your perspective, that we'll still be fine in terms of getting our funding done? I realize it's a unique time for all of these things, but from an economic standpoint, this will still work out, you and Jeff believe, for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, before we pushed it back in terms of the timing of consideration of the bond ordinance, we were looking at a mid-June closing, and we can still get to a mid-June closing, which would be in time to have our project go off smoothly.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Does anyone on the council have questions for Rick or Jeff? Okay, if not, I think we need a motion to table to the April 20th meeting.
Bob Buchan, I'll move to table action on resolution or common council ordinance number 2002 until the May, first week in May meeting.
No. April 20th, sir. The May is when we'll talk about the capacity fees. But this
April
will be
20th. April 20th. My fault.
Lisa Jones, second.
Okay, Lisa, Kenny gave that up. Lisa Jones seconded that one, so thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to push this back until April 20th. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to new business.
Mayor, move to read new business by title only.
Kenny made the motion to read by title only.
Sean Taylor,
Bob
second.
Buchan, second. All right.
John Taylor, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Are they any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Both of these items are for introduction only. And I will tell you I'll tell you how we got to these. These tie together. Mark Richards and myself, we got with Jane Rhodes and her staff, and we've got a list of projects that we're going to try to do this year. We wanted to make sure, and I've had for the new members, I try to do this early in the year, so we get with the council and we say, here's the projects, here's how we're going to try to fund it, and get back with you on as we move forward with the project. So I will say that if you remember, I think it was either February, 1st March meeting, I can't remember which one it was at the time, and I should have had that date, but it doesn't really matter. We had funds that was unspent from projects last year. They got put back a little bit. We had $886,000. We put $700,000, or we put $186,000 into the rainy day fund, and then we left $700,000 in the general fund that we said we would have to reappropriate at some time to be able to use on projects that didn't get done last year. So it's funds that wasn't used last year, like I said, on projects. And now I've got a list of projects here. I'm going to kind of read them off to you, and I will tell you already projects that's been approved through the Board of Works. January 4th, the US 31 project, which was $3.2 million, which come out of our TIF bond. Railroad Interlocal project. The Railroad Interlocal is where we're doing the railroad crossings. We approved $134,900. That is, I will say that on top of that, we got a $1.3 million bond, and the $134,000, that is our part of it. Pre-exemption safety grant that we got, which is $601,000. This year we're doing the engineering part of that. It's right at $58,000. And then March the 2nd, we approved pedestrian for Jefferson Street and out by Hospital Road. We got it from the state, an $850,000 grant, and our part to do the engineering is $309,350. Then the alley paving that we've already approved and we're getting ready to start in a couple weeks is $299,000. A school zone safety, where we're going to have flashing lights at the schools when the speed limits in schools end. We got a $250,000 grant. Our part is $35,000 for that. We also did some soil sampling for EnviroForensic. That's $23,500. That is coming out of the TIF bond. So that's stuff that's already been approved from January to March. So we have all these other projects, and we're trying to figure out, okay, where we're going to pay for it at. So Mark and I got with Jane and just real quick, the railroad crossings again, emergency signals, Westview and East Jefferson Street, pedestrian design, alleys, school safety, dumpster enclosures. That's a project we've been working on about a year and a half now to try to get some dumpster enclosures in some alleyways here in town. Pedestrian crossings, which is at Home Avenue, at the Elks Crossing, and at Shell Creek. We have that project to do. One that we could cut out if we need to, but I feel pretty strongly that we need to work on this year. The funds are there. It's I-65 and Earlywood exit study. Engineering, Mark and an engineering firm have met with NDOT. They're very interested in doing something like that, but we have to do the study, which, that takes, whenever you do studies, it takes 5 to 10 years to get something like that done. But if you never do the study, you never get anything like that done. And chances are I won't be the mayor if it ever happens. But I do think that that's what mayors and councils and leadership are supposed to do, is set the precedent for other mayors and councils to move forward on good projects. So that's a $300 expense to do all the engineering all the study for that. We had a roundabout change order, and then we're doing this year $1.5 million worth of paving. We're doing striping of roads, which is $60,000. Crack seals, about $200,000. Concrete patching is about $150,000. So whenever we got together, we're saying, okay, how do we get the funds? So let me just start. I hope I haven't confused anybody, and I can stop here in a minute if you ask me to. So the first one that we're introducing, the Common Council Budgetary Ordinance Number 20-04, an additional appropriation ordinance for MVH restricted funds, an amount of $544,640.22. Those funds are a special fund from, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Rhodes, that comes from the gas tax, and it can be used for road improvements only. So all we have to do is appropriate it, and that's what it's there for, to appropriate on that part of it. That can be used for the projects I just said. So before I move on, I just want you to know this is introduction only. That's the explanation on that one. The next one, the Common Council Budgetary Ordinance Number 20-05, an additional appropriation ordinance for the General Fund Board of Works Capital to the Board of Works Capital in the amount of $700,000. That is the $700,000 that we raked over last year, or we left it in the general fund, but it needs to be reappropriated for these projects. And then I want to also add, I know everybody's wondering with COVID-19, sales tax is going to be down, gas tax is going to be down, and everybody's probably wondering how does that affect us? Well, there is going to be a little bit of effect of that. We don't know the extent of it yet, but I want everybody to know that we do have $4.5 million in our rainy day fund to help us get through any kind of bad times that we may have to do that. If you remember earlier in the year, I'd said my hope is that we don't get into the rainy day fund, but I wasn't going to make any promises of that. So my intent is still not to, but we may have to at some point. But Jeff's still on the line. I think Jeff can probably tell you that Franklin's in a pretty good position right now. So Jeff, are you still on the line?
I am, Mayor.
Okay, so
yeah, I think you have adequate cash reserves in both the general operating fund as well as the rainy day fund to sustain any temporary shortfall that you might experience in revenue.
Okay, thank you. So does anybody have any questions for Jeff or me about the projects that I just presented to you? And I could give you a better list before our next meeting so you can have the list to look at and what each list is broke down in the cost. One thing that I feel like I've been very good at and want to stay that. I want to stay transparent as possible, and that is why we wanted to not do the public hearing tonight on the other one. So certainly anybody wants to reach out and talk about any of these projects, I'd be glad to do that.
Yeah, Mayor, Ken Austin. Mayor, you'd mentioned for the study for the 65.
Yes.
New potential exit, that program, you'd mentioned it was $300.
$300,000, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so I thought it would be more than $300.
Kim was going to pay the $300 himself.
Yeah, so if you didn't hear that, I guess I made an error and said the study was $300. Well, it's $300,000. So, see, I tried to slip that by. Kenny caught us. Way to go, Mr. President.
Less fun.
Less? Okay. All right, well, thank you for that. Anybody else? Okay, so that was introduction only, and we'll have public hearing on all three of these the next meeting. So
Correct.
That's good to know.
Steve, if we could get that list, to break down the list, that'd be awesome before the next meeting.
Sure, we'll get it to you. I'll try to get it to you the first of next week. How's that? Or sooner, as soon as I can get clerk treasurer to help me with it, we'll do that. She's looking at me and saying, okay. All right, we'll do that. Anything else? Is there any other business anybody wants to talk about? Ms. Gray's we do have some other business she wants to talk about.
Right. Councilman, you will remember that on March 13th, 2020, you passed the emergency resolution authorizing the mayor to take certain steps and declare an emergency if necessary. We're doing that under the emergency management portion of the code. I won't bore you with that, but it's actually Code Section 10. Title 10 allows for the emergency declaration and the mayor to take certain actions subject to your ratification. I would simply ask that the council consider extending that resolution for an additional 30 days. We are in an interesting area, and perhaps Councilman McGinnis can opine on this. There are some that indicate that how executive orders continue is a subject of some question. And I just always think it's better to have the political subdivision council also ratify what they're doing. And so my request would be to continue the emergency order for an additional 30 days. I can tell you that we haven't really done anything that is any different than what we normally do. But I don't know what the next 2 weeks holds for us. And so I think just having that in place to authorize the mayor to take emergency action if it was necessary is the better part of discretion rather than having a problem. Obviously, claims and things are coming to you just as they normally are. We're just doing them over the phone. But I would like to at least have that emergency resolution continued for an additional 30 days.
So
Ann McGinnis, I would make a motion. I would make a motion to continue that resolution for another 30 days.
I'll second the motion. Ken Austin?
Ken Austin, second the motion. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Okay, hearing none.
And obviously, if back by April 20th we're back, then we'll just terminate him at that point in time. But this will at least get us through the first part of May, and hopefully we'll be back up and operating as normal by then. Thank you for your consideration.
And I'll make the same comment I made at the Board of Works meeting. I won't do anything that I'll get impeached for.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
And the irony of it is there's probably more access to the public to what we're doing. We haven't done anything that we don't typically do. If I might, Mayor, we have available for you to share with your constituents. There's two parts to what we're doing with our remote meetings. We're trying to bend over backwards to be publicly transparent because I think that's really, really critical at a time like this. So you will see on the agendas, and this will continue to be, that there will be a number that your constituents can call in and listen and observe our public meetings. That will be on the agendas so long as we continue to do these remote meetings. Also, these meetings are being recorded. And so at the conclusion of your meeting, there will be a posting on the website where persons can go in and listen to a recording of what occurred at this meeting, including Ann telling her dog to be good. So all of that is recorded, and there will be a link on the website that if someone in your any of your constituents want to hear what we did on this meeting, they can go and they can listen to it verbatim on our website.
Okay, and I don't know what department head is still on this call, but they did give a pretty lengthy job description of what they're doing in the Board of Works meeting, and you can go. It was real good information. I'm not going to ask them to go back through that again, but if any of you want to hear what they've been doing, you can get online pretty easy to do that. Rick can send you some information on how you get to that recording. Am I right there, Rick? Yes, he's shaking his head. Yes. So it's pretty good information. I would encourage you to do that. That way, they could answer some of the questions that your constituents may have. And if they're still here and you have any specific question that you want to ask a department head, if they're still online, please feel free to do that.
And one final thing I would say, Rick has also put on our website the ability for the members of the public to email us. When the agenda goes out, there's also an email link that they can email us if they have any questions, and we will attempt to address those during the public meetings. We haven't received any, but I just want you all to know everything we're trying to do to involve the public to the extent that they're able to participate, because I think that's important during this time.
Okay, so does anybody want to ask any department head anything? Hearing nothing, we'll start here. I'm going to go by alphabetical order of the council comments. Mr. Austin, you're up.
Mayor, I want to thank Mark Richards. I know that I got a report from the Bluffs, the new construction out by Windstar, standing water, and Mark said that Fisher contractors went out there today to address the standing water issues out there at the new build. There was some concern that the subdivision had kind of slowed down or stopped, and found out that the asphalt companies had been closed for a while, and then they're starting back up, and that they're going to be paving beginning here this week, and that the standing water issue was going to be addressed. So I appreciate the efforts from Mark and concerning those concerns of our constituents.
Okay, thank you. Just make sure Dan Blankenship, I don't think you're on the call. He's not, so we'll go on to Bob Hukin.
Nothing, Mayor. Just maybe a reminder that all signs seem to indicate that we will be having an RDC meeting, Redevelopment Commission meeting, on the 21st, more than likely in the format that we're doing it today, or this meeting this evening. So just be aware of that. That's all.
Okay, thank you. How about Ms. Jones?
Just a question to follow up on the RDC meeting. I assume the meetings that we were looking at trying to do, joint efforts, FDC, RDC, City Council, everyone involved, will be moved to a later date. Is anything pending on that?
Yeah, and like with FDC, Krista will put something out there on the meetings, and then like on Plan Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals, Joanna would be putting that out, and then on EDC and RDC, that would be Krista putting those out there.
I think Lisa was asking about a joint meeting.
Oh, a joint meeting. Okay, I understand. Yeah, whenever we were talking about getting together with myself and trying to have a meeting with not more than two at a time, yes, we are going to do that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we are going to do that, but we're going to wait till we get where we can get together, I think, instead of trying to do it this way, because that's something that I think it's much more educational to be in the room together with that.
That's a great question, Councilwoman, because the Public Access Council has also advised that to the extent possible to keep these types of remote meetings with essential services to the extent possible necessary for the ongoing operations. And so those types of things, those meetings, joint meetings and things are probably not fall within that essential service. Right.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to get that scheduled with, Dana had a hard time of getting everybody scheduled, and then just about the time we got it scheduled, we had to cancel all of them. So that was kind of heartbreaking for us. And we have canceled, I don't know how many meetings that we had all set up moving forward. So thank you, Lisa. How about Mrs. McGinnis?
I just want to say that I hope everyone is doing well, and I want to thank not only the mayor but also the department heads for what they're doing, because I know these are really, really trying times, and everyone trying to do their job and keep things as normal as possible is really difficult. So that's all I wanted to say tonight, but thank you to everyone, and hopefully we'll get through this here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll get back to normal.
Yeah, thank you, Ann, and we'll get through this together. So,
yep.
Mr. Reinerson.
Well, this was already brought up during the Board of Works meeting, but I didn't get to speak on it, and I kind of do. But I just want to give a huge shout-out to Tara Payne and to you, Mayor Barnett, for doing all the updates on Facebook, and it's a good way for anyone to share that for, the whole city of Franklin. So keep up the good work. It sounds like you guys are doing another update here soon. So, I look forward to listening to it and sharing that with everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Look for that update tomorrow.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, we'll just let you know too. We're looking at other ways to get more people involved, because I don't think I need to be the one doing all the talking all the time. So tomorrow we're going to have I'm going to speak, and we're going to have Krista speak, and we're going to have Tara speak. And then down the road, I think we've had such a good response from this. I think we're going to start getting different department heads talk about what they're doing, and even after this is over, this may go on for another month, maybe a little longer. We don't know, but I think it's good that we get our department heads to talk about stuff that's going on. Even get Chip involved in talking about the parks, and Kirby talking about what the police does. So we're gonna try to continue with that, and yes, thank you, Tara, for that. But I wanted to let everybody on the council know we're looking to expand on that a little bit, and we want to keep them. Hopefully, I think we've timed the ones that I did. It's about 6 minutes, and we're afraid if we get over that, then lose the attention span. So we're going to try to, even if 3 of us speak, or we try to stay within that 6 minutes is what we're shooting for. So anyway, thank you, Chris. Sean Taylor.
All right. Thank you to the department heads for all the hard work you guys are putting in. I know trying to schedule people and move people around and shift people around is not easy to do, but definitely wanted to send a thank you to you guys. And one thing I have had a couple of people ask me about, who's in charge of cleanup out here by the hotels and, Taco Bell and that type of thing? There's lots of skids and trash, and who's in charge of that out there to get that area cleaned up, do you know?
Yeah, and that's a good question, and I had conversation with Rick Sprague about that the other day, and
okay.
And they do plan on before they open the hotel, and it's moving rapidly now. Before they open the hotels, to have all that cleaned up, and then I told them that my expectation is even the lots where all the dirt and all that stuff's piled up, that they get that where we can mow it and make it look good, and that would only help them market those other lots that's there, and they agree, and that's their intent to do that. But yes, some of that trash, they need to go ahead and pick it up now because it is blowing around, and I will I'll make a phone call to Rick Sprague tomorrow and let him know we're starting to get some questions from constituents, and we'll see if we can't help
with everybody.
That.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people out walking around. They walk down there, and see it, and they're like, "What? This is." I've had other people say, "Who's in charge of cleaning that area?"
Yeah,
So
I would echo what Sean says. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to echo to bring that up and see if we can't get that cleaned up, because we do have a number of people out using the trails, and and that trail runs right into that dirt area right now.
Yeah. It is the developer's responsibility, and we will get with them tomorrow and tell them we expect to clean that up. And I was thinking the same thing just last week, last Friday. I was driving through there and I thought we got to fix this. And just a little update. Joanna had an update at Board of Works that we're thinking in the next couple of weeks, Culver's is going to start breaking ground on their part. So just so you know that, so I think that would be a good addition to that, and that'll help clean up some of it anyway.
Yeah. That's all I had, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? So that's all the comments. If there's no other business, I guess we would somebody make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
He made the motion. Sean made the second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Okay. Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good week.
Stay safe out there.
Bye.